Hey guys, I'm Caroline, and if you are like me and you're a foodie, you might feel like sometimes you like food a little bit too much. So, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Sometimes you get going and then you're feeling a little bit guilty or shameful after, like you might have ruined progress that you've made, especially if you're on a diet. And in today's video, I want to share with you 8 tips to help you stop overeating. So let's just jump right into it. Number 1, slow down while you're eating. So if you've ever had dinner with a friend who's just fixated on their food or barely looking up and not even hearing what you're saying, they're literally scarfing it down. Not only is that like a little bit awkward, but it's also causing them to probably eat too much food. So when you eat quickly, a hormone called leptin, which signals your fullness to your brain, it doesn't quite have the time to kick in, right? So you end up eating past the point of fullness. But when you slow down and maybe have a conversation with a loved one, you most likely end up eating a lot less because you give your body time to feel full. So if you are somebody who kind of blacks out when food is in front of you, I want you to consciously try to slow down. Start a conversation, take a few deep breaths, whatever it takes to really pace yourself. Number 2, choose high volume, low calorie foods. Okay, so if you love to eat large portions, you should be going for high volume, low calorie foods like salads. When you eat a big salad without the sugary dressing, of course, you're able to enjoy the eating experience without overloading on calories. Dense foods like brownies or ramen or fried foods, they're very high calories and really low volume, so you end up consuming a ton of calories and you don't actually feel full. But instead what you want to do is fill your plate with high volume, low calorie foods like vegetables, lean proteins, whole grains, and this really gives your body time to feel satiated without overdoing it. Number 3, prioritize proteins and fats over carbs. So this does not mean to avoid carbs completely, but I definitely want you to prioritize proteins and fats in your meals. So things like rice and pasta and pastries, they spike your insulin, which blocks leptin from signaling fullness to your brain. So if you ever notice how you could keep eating pizza or brownies without stopping, that's exactly why. But with protein and healthy fats, your body signals satiety much more naturally. So for example, you rarely feel like binging on a steak, right? Protein also helps with muscle growth and hormone balance. So make protein the main event of your meals and just enjoy carbs as more of like the side treat. And that will also help you to feel more satiated. But when you really stop and think about it, like when have you ever really gorged yourself on chicken or a steak? It's not because that food is boring or bad, it's because it's low in calorie and you don't eat it quite as quickly. Tip number 4, do not wait until you are starving. All right, so this is a game-changing tip. Don't wait until you're ravenously hungry to eat. Just like with sleep, consistency matters more than quick fixes. So for sleep, going to bed and waking up at the same time has the biggest impact. And it's really the same thing with eating. Having regular meal times is super important, and sticking with them is important. Because when you wait too long to eat, you enter that sort of starving zone, and then you end up devouring anything in sight, and you end up making really bad food choices. So when you have these set times, you're never in this zone of feeling starving. Tip number 5 is to stay hydrated. So if you work from home, I want you to get a large 2-liter water bottle, keep it by your desk, and just drink enough water throughout the day to keep you from mistaking dehydration for hunger. It's super common, it happens all of the time. And when you're dehydrated, you simply do feel hungry. So if you don't want to overeat at dinner, definitely make sure to stay hydrated throughout the day, and it will prevent unnecessary snacking and just help you to feel more full. Tip number 6 is to avoid sugar and to manage stress. So 2 hormones are super big triggers for overeating: insulin and cortisol. High sugar intake spikes insulin, and high stress spikes cortisol, and both of those can lead to overeating. So when you're stressed, you're more likely to reach for comfort foods, which are usually really high in sugar and fat. So to try to minimize sugar and fat, really important to find ways to manage stress, whether it's exercise or meditation or just anything that you enjoy. It really does help to reduce those cravings and keep you on track with your goals. Number 7 is to focus on strength training over cardio. So strength training or lifting weights or resistance-based exercises can cause less hunger than intense cardio workouts. Cardio workouts like running or soccer or the elliptical, it can cause an increase in cortisol and actually make you crave carbs, which leads to more overeating after you work out. So instead of going really hard on high intensity cardio, try to focus on strength training, because not only does it help you to build muscle, which supports a higher metabolism, but it also tends to leave you feeling less hungry afterwards. Tip number 8 is to address emotional eating. What's the real hole there, right? So ask yourself, what black hole am I trying to fill with food? Emotional eating is often triggered by stress or loneliness or anxiety. And let's just be honest, like when we're feeling emotional, we don't reach for a salad. We typically go for sugary, fatty foods that give your brain a quick dopamine hit. So if you catch yourself reaching for food when you're truly not hungry, you might just be feeling emotional or even just bored, really take a moment to just check in with yourself. Oftentimes, you'll find it's just an emotional need and not a physical need of hunger. So think of it like filling a basin with a hole at the bottom. You'll keep adding food, but it never fills up, right? So to truly feel full, you have to identify and work on the underlying causes. So there you go. 8 practical tips to help you manage overeating and enjoy food in a way that really aligns with your goals. So I hope that these resonated with you. If they did, please make sure to hit like, subscribe, and share this video with somebody who might enjoy it. All right, thanks for watching and see you next week.